Hi there and welcome back to The Single Cook. My name is Tiffany and welcome back to my channel. So today I am doing a fridge clean out where I am going to be making a soup that I'm going to tentatively call harvest vegetable, but I am going to be adding some proteins like ham and sausage in there. So I have a bunch of random little bits and bobs of vegetables and other things. So I'm going to be using that in a soup. And welcome to the dark corner of my kitchen where my crock pot lives. So today we are going to be using a bunch of different ingredients because I have like just a little bit of a bunch of things. So let's put it together into a delicious soup. Let's get into the ingredients. So the ingredients that we're going to be working with today, we've got, like I said, a bunch of random different things. I've got 2 stalks of celery. I've got a handful of sliced button mushrooms. I've got a carrot and a half that I've diced up. I've got about 1/3 of an onion that is also diced. I had a couple of sad red potatoes, maybe 3 or 4 little baby ones. We have some frozen green beans that I pulled from my garden. They were flash frozen when I first harvested them, so I just defrosted those and cut them up. I had a half of a green zucchini. I had about 1/4 of a yellow squash. We had some of the final peas from my garden. I've got a little bit of kale back here, also from the garden. We have our garlic, our minced jarred garlic. I have a couple of slices of ham that I'm going to be adding, as well as some Italian sausage that's left over from another recipe. We're going to add that. And then we have some tubed tomato paste, just a little bit. I'm going to use the rest of what's in the tube. I have my stock concentrate that I've made on this channel before. I have diluted that with water, and I'll probably add a little bit more water as well, but this is just to kind of give you a visual. And then we've got our seasonings. I've got sage, thyme, garlic powder, because you all know I love garlic, and some coarse black pepper. Now I am not going to be adding salt to this because of the ham and the Italian sausage, but we are going to put all of this in the crock pot and see what we can make out of it. Okay, let's get our ingredients going. So we're going to start with our diced celery, and this is about 2 stalks of celery. We're going to add our mushrooms, and this is about 3 to 4 sliced button mushrooms. We've got 1.5 carrots, peeled and diced. I'm going to be adding 3 to 4 little baby red potatoes that have been diced up. I did leave the peels on those. We've got about 1/3 of a white onion. I'm going to add our cut green beans, and these are about 1 cup of green beans. I'm going to add my leftover peas, and there's probably about 1/3 of a cup. These are fresh peas, not canned. And then I've got my kale, and that's about 2 to 3 leaves. Okay, we're going to add our diced ham, and that's about 1/2 of a cup. And I've got what looks like somewhere between 1/3 and 1/2 a cup of Italian sausage here as well. Okay. And we're going to add our garlic. You all know I love the minced jarred garlic. And we're probably going to add about 2 to 3 tablespoons. I love a lot of garlic though. We're going to add some tomato paste, and there's probably 1 to 2 tablespoons left in this tube. I'm going to use up the rest of whatever's in there. You can absolutely add more or diced tomatoes. It is up to you. And let's do our seasonings. We're going to start with our ground sage, probably about 1 teaspoon each of the seasonings here. And we have our dried thyme. Garlic powder. And black pepper. And again, that was about 1 teaspoon each. And we're going to follow that up with our stock. Now I'm doing 2 cups with the stock concentrate, and then I'm going to be adding another 6 cups of just water. just to get it to the right amount of liquid for what I'm working with. Okay, and now that we've got all of our ingredients in there, I'm going to turn my crock pot on low. And we're going to give it all a good stir. Make sure that everything is nice and combined. I don't want any clumps of seasoning or anything stuck to the bottom. And we're going to pop a lid on it. And we're going to let that simmer on low for 4 to 8 hours. Yes, I do know that I didn't add the squash and zucchini. Just wait. So it's been simmering for a while, probably about 4 hours at this point. And I'm going to add in my squash and my zucchini. And this is about a quarter of a good sized summer squash that I had left. It was peeled and then diced. And then I have half of a green zucchini that I left the peels on, but I did dice that up. Give it another good stir. And pop our lid back on. Okay, we're going to let that simmer for another 30 to 60 minutes. I ended up turning mine up on high and going for about 25 to 30 minutes. So here we are, ready to dish up. Give it another quick stir before ladling out into our bowls. And I recommend serving this with some crusty bread. Either a sourdough or a garlic bread would be lovely with it. And that's been our video for today. So we used a bunch of those leftover ingredients, things that I had laying around, little bits and bobs of different vegetables that either I've harvested from my garden or I've just had laying around, like that onion, third of an onion left over from different recipes, a little bit of sausage left over from a recipe, ham left over from sandwiches. And I combined all of those ingredients into what I'm calling a harvest vegetable soup. We used our stock concentrate that we've made in other videos to give it a little bit more flavor to the broth rather than just water. Using a stock really does help to give that more flavor. And then using our seasonings like garlic powder and sage and thyme to give a little bit more. You could probably add like rosemary to that as well. I did not add salt because I was using the Italian sausage and the ham. With those saltier items, you don't necessarily need any more salt, but if you were going to change it to beef or chicken, I would definitely recommend adding a little bit of salt. There's so many different variations that you could make with it. As I was thinking about it later, I could have added a can of diced tomatoes to that, or even the diced tomatoes with green chilies would have given it a little spicy kick to it. You could add red pepper flakes, and that would add to it as well. I just wanted something pretty simple using up the small ingredients that I had left. I did wait to do that summer squash and the zucchini until the last 30 to 60 minutes because I didn't want it to turn to mush, but I did want it to cook. So the longer it sits in there, the mushier it will be. But about 30 to 60 minutes, depending on whether it's on low or high. I ended up turning mine up to high for the last 30 minutes so that I could get that squash and zucchini in there. So it was only in there for about 25 to 30 minutes before I started serving it up, and it was just the right texture. But I do recommend this kind of soup, especially setting it on a crock pot when we're going into fall. Having that crock pot of warm soup when you come home from work is an excellent way to end the day. So thank you for watching. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Please come back for more content. We're constantly posting new things. I try to do at least once a week, but check back for more things. Sometimes I post just randomly. But we look forward to seeing you. This has been The Single Cook. My name is Tiffany. Thank you again for watching. We'll see you next time.